The sound you are hearing right now is not the ocean. It is your lungs. You are drowning in your own blood. A wooden splinter the size of a butcher's knife is buried in your thigh. The cannonball missed you by inches, but the explosion of oak shrapnel did not. Your gums are bleeding so badly that when you spit, 3 of your teeth come out with it. You haven't seen land in 4 months. You are 19 years old, but your face is that of a starving old man. You are Hostis humani generis, an enemy of all mankind. Every navy, every nation, every merchant captain has legal permission to kill you on sight. There is no trial. There is no mercy. You traded your humanity for a vote and a share of gold that you will never be able to spend. This is not an adventure. This is a death sentence. And the clock started ticking the moment you signed your name. To understand what it takes to be a pirate, you first have to understand why anyone would choose this. You didn't wake up one morning and decide to become a criminal. You were forced into it by a system designed to destroy you. Before this, you were a sailor. Maybe you worked on a merchant vessel, or maybe you were pressed into the Royal Navy. Pressed is a polite word for what actually happened. You were walking through the docks of London or Bristol when a gang of armed men grabbed you, beat you unconscious, and dragged you onto a warship. This was legal. This was normal. Your life on that ship was hell. You were paid pennies per month, but the officers would delay or steal your wages entirely. You were beaten for minor infractions. You slept in a hammock so cramped you could smell the rot in your crewmate's lungs. You were not a man. You were a piece of machinery that occasionally needed food. Then one day, a ship appeared on the horizon, a black flag. When the pirates boarded, they didn't just take the cargo. They took a vote. The captain stood on the deck and asked a single question. Who here hates their captain? Every hand went up. The pirates offered you a deal. Sign the articles, join the crew. In exchange, you get a vote in all major decisions, a fair share of the loot, and compensation if you lose a limb in battle. This was the first true democracy in the modern world, and it existed 100 years before most nations figured it out. But here's the detail nobody talks about. By signing, you also became Hostis humani generis. You forfeit all legal protection. Any government can execute you without trial. Any civilian can kill you and collect a reward. You have traded the slavery of the Navy for the freedom of the gallows. If you're still watching, you're tougher than most. Subscribe in the next 3 seconds if you want to see what happens when freedom costs everything. Welcome to your new home, a sloop. 30 meters of rotting wood, canvas, and tar. It is fast and maneuverable, designed to chase merchant vessels through shallow water. But living here is a biological catastrophe. You sleep in the 'tween decks. The ceiling is 4 feet high. You cannot stand. You cannot stretch. You sleep in a hammock packed so tightly against the next man that you breathe as exhaled air. This is called hot bedding. When you wake up for your watch, another sailor climbs into your hammock while it is still warm and soaked with your sweat. You share diseases like you share bunks. And this is where it gets worse. Below you is the bilge. This is the lowest part of the ship, where seawater leaks in through the hull and mixes with rat urine, rotting food scraps, vomit, and feces. It ferments into a black sludge that smells like sulfur, sewage, and death. The chemical reaction produces hydrogen sulfide gas. If you sleep too close to the bilge hatch, the fumes can cause permanent brain damage. If the concentration is high enough, you simply stop breathing. The ship is an ecosystem. You are not alone. Rats outnumber the crew 3-1. They are not the timid creatures you imagine. These are sea rats. They are bold, aggressive, and clever. At night, they will crawl onto your hammock and bite your toes to drink the blood. Rat bites carry infection. There is no soap. There is no disinfectant. A small wound on your foot can turn into gangrene in 3 days. Hygiene does not exist. You wash your clothes in a bucket of urine because the ammonia kills the lice that infest the fabric. Your drinking water is stored in wooden casks, and within weeks, it turns green with algae and slime. You drink it anyway, because the alternative is dying of thirst. When you need to relieve yourself, you use the head, a plank with a hole cut into it that hangs over the bow of the ship. You sit exposed to the wind and the spray of the waves. If a large wave hits while you are there, you are washed overboard. The ship does not stop. You are disposable. You dream of treasure, but you should be dreaming of fruit. The greatest killer of pirates is not combat. It is not the British Navy. It is what you eat for breakfast. Your primary source of calories is hardtack. This is a flour biscuit baked 4 times until it becomes harder than a brick. It is designed to last for years without rotting, which means it is almost impossible to chew. You soak it in water or stale beer to soften it, but the water in the barrels has turned into a foul-smelling soup of algae and insect larvae. The biscuit is also infested. Weevils, small beetle larvae, burrow into the hardtack and lay eggs. You learn to tap the biscuit on the table before eating it to knock out the bugs. In the dark below deck, you cannot see them, so you just chew and swallow. They taste bitter, but they are the only source of protein you get some weeks. Then comes the Gray Death, scurvy. You have heard it described as a vitamin C deficiency, which makes it sound mild. It is not. It is your body disintegrating at the molecular level. Vitamin C is required to produce collagen, the protein that acts as the glue holding your tissues together. Without it, your body begins to unknit. Old scars from injuries you sustained years ago suddenly split open and start bleeding again. Your gums turn black and swell until they cover your teeth. Then, your teeth fall out. Your bones become so brittle they fracture under your own weight. But this wasn't even the worst part. Before your body falls apart, your mind breaks. Scurvy causes severe depression and vivid sensory hallucinations. You begin to smell things that are not there. Fresh bread, wet earth, flowers. You hear church bells from your childhood village. Some men, convinced that the blue ocean is a field of green grass, leap overboard and drown while trying to run home. There is no cure on the ship. You do not have a chef. You have a one-legged cook boiling salted meat in seawater. If you want to survive, you eat the rats. Rats produce vitamin C in their livers. It is disgusting. It is humiliating, but it keeps your skin from peeling off your muscles. And what happens to pirates who survive all of this and become rich? That story is even darker, but first, you have to make it through the battle. A sail appears on the horizon. A Spanish galleon, heavy and slow, loaded with silver from the New World. This is what you are here for. The captain raises the black flag. The flag is a weapon. It tells the merchant crew, surrender, and you live. Fight, and you die. Most ships surrender immediately. The sailors are not being paid enough to die for cargo that does not belong to them. This is the secret of piracy. You want to avoid fighting whenever possible. Combat damages the ship, kills your crew, and ruins the loot. But this captain is brave, or stupid. He fires a warning shot. The black flag comes down. The red flag goes up, the bloody red. It means no quarter, no mercy, and no survivors. Everyone on that ship will die. You do not sink the vessel. You need it intact. You have to board. The ships crash together, wood splintering, ropes snapping. You throw stink pots. clay jars filled with burning sulfur, onto their deck. The smoke chokes them, blinds them, creates chaos. Then you swing across. This is not a movie. You do not land gracefully. You slip on blood. You crash into the railing. You are fighting on a moving platform that is pitching and rolling in the waves. The deck is slick with seawater, vomit, and the aftermath of violence. You carry a cutlass, a short, heavy saber with a thick basket guard to protect your hand. It is not designed for fencing. It is designed for hacking through ropes, canvas, and bone. You also carry a boarding axe. You hook the blade into a man's shoulder and drag him to the deck, then use the spike to end it quickly. You fire your flintlock pistol, and you have only one shot. If the powder is wet, it misfires. If it fires, you drop the gun immediately and it turns into a 2-pound brass club. You smash it into faces, swing it again and again in a desperate attempt to overpower whoever stands in front of you. There is no honor here, no rules, only chaos, fear, and the instinct to survive. The smoke clears. You won. But when you look down, you see the problem. A musket ball has shattered your tibia. The damage is catastrophic. Bone visible. The wound is deep and bleeding heavily. You have minutes before you bleed out. In the Royal Navy, there is a university-trained surgeon with clean tools and opium. On a pirate ship, you have the carpenter. He knows wood, not flesh, but the principle is the same. If it is broken beyond repair, you cut it off. There is no anesthesia. There is no morphine. 2 men hold you down while you drink a pint of rum. It does not stop the pain. It just makes you care slightly less about dying. The carpenter uses the same saw he uses to cut planks. He begins cutting through the muscle. You feel every stroke. You scream until your voice breaks. When the bone is finally severed, he does not stitch the wound. He cauterizes it. He applies boiling tar to seal the stump, or he presses a red-hot iron against the wound to stop the bleeding. The smell is something you will never forget. The sound is worse. If you survive the shock, you will likely die of infection within a week. But if you live, the pirate code guarantees compensation. For the loss of a right leg, you get 800 pieces of 8. And for the loss of an eye, you will receive 100 pieces of 8. You are now rich. You are also half a man. You cannot climb rigging. You cannot balance on a moving deck. You are not eating a devil fruit to grow it back. You are a cripple in a world that requires perfect agility just to survive. Let's say you are the exception. You survived the scurvy. You survived the battle. You have a chest full of gold coins and Spanish silver. You have enough wealth to live like a king. But now you realize the trap. You cannot spend it because you are Hostis humani generis. You cannot walk into a bank in London, Havana, or Boston. If you show your face in any civilized port, you will be arrested and hanged. You cannot buy land. You cannot invest, and you cannot build a future. So you are forced to stay in the pirate havens, lawless slums like Nassau or Port Royal. The merchants there know you are a criminal, so they charge you 10 times the market price for everything. A bottle of rum costs a gold doubloon. A night with a woman costs a week's plunder. You gamble. You drink. You spend your fortune on meaningless pleasures because there is nothing else to do with it. Eventually, the Empire strikes back. The Royal Navy does not send one ship. It sends a fleet. They blockade the harbor. They offer a pardon to those who surrender and a noose to those who resist. The democracy collapses. Your crewmates turn on you to save their own necks. The end of a pirate is not glorious. It is execution dock in London. They hang you with a short rope so your neck does not break cleanly. You suffocate slowly while a crowd watches and cheers. It takes 4 minutes for you to stop twitching. Then they tear your corpse to preserve it. They lock your body in a gibbet, a human-shaped metal cage, and hang it at the mouth of the harbor. You stay there for years. The birds eat your remains. The tide washes over your feet twice a day. All because you wanted to be a legend, but in the end, you became a warning sign, a rotting scarecrow for sailors. Being a pirate required a level of desperation that most people cannot comprehend. It was not a romantic rebellion. It was a choice between two kinds of slavery, one where you were property of the Navy and one where you were property of the sea. You found the one piece of freedom you were looking for, but the cost was everything you had: your health, your future, and even your humanity. If this video destroyed your pirate fantasy, good. You just learned what history actually looks like. Click the next video if you want to see what it takes to be a Viking berserker. Same brutal reality, different kind of madness. And if you made it this far without flinching, leave a comment and tell me, would you have signed the articles or stayed a slave? See you there.